Hi, welcome to Moonlit Fly Fishing, Fly Tying Night tonight. I'm Brandon Moon, and tonight we're going to be tying up a black copper john, rubber leg style, so we're really excited about this. The copper john is a john bar pattern. The rubber legs make it a really cool movement in the water, and we're excited for this. Make sure you drop a comment in the comment section with your favorite color copper john, and with that we'll go ahead and get started. The hook that we're using today is the Moonlit Premium TOGATTA ML502. This is a 1X strong jig hook. I'm tying a size 14 today, but tie this anywhere from a size 8 to 14. The bead I'm using is matte black. It's a 3/0 bead, sorry. And I'm going to start my thread right behind the bead, use the tag end to go all the way to the back bend of the hook. At this point I'm going to tie in a strand of Semperfli SiliLegs Grizzly Flutter in the smoke copper flake color. I'm going to measure it to be roughly about 1/2 to 3/4 the length of the shank, and I'm just going to kind of wrap and secure that leg all the way up to the bead here. The thread that we use today is the Semperfli Classic Wax 12/0 in black. Now you can see I just pulled that leg all the way to the other side, and I'm just running that thread all the way back to the bend of my hook again. I'll trim out my legs. I want them to be roughly about 1/2 the length of the hook shank, maybe a little bit longer. And I want this to make sure my legs splay out, and that's why I ran the legs on one side and then all the way up and then back down the other side, so that I have a nice smooth even underbody and the legs splay out naturally there. We'll wrap all the way up to the bead of the hook again. At this point I'm going to take copper 0.2mm tying wire from Simperfli. I'm going to slide that into the bead there, and we're just going to secure that down, and we'll go roughly about 1/4 of the way, or a bead's length back. Then I'm going to take a black 0.2mm tying wire, and I'm going to tie that in, and I'll make sure that the tips are going to be right behind that bead, and that'll secure that down. Then we'll go back to the 3/4 mark there, or where we ended our wire, half hitch, and then I'm going to get my 2 wires, and we're going to manually start wrapping. The wire's got a little kink in it, so we're going to have to work that just a little bit. Once I've got 2 or 3 wraps in, I'm going to use my nail to pinch it, and then I'm going to use the rotary feature to wrap. And every couple wraps I'm just going to make sure that I pinch so that it's all the way touching, each wire wrap is touching. I've got about 1 more wrap of just 1 wire here to get all the way back, so I'm going to use the black, and then I'm just going to do some open spiral wraps to create a rib here. Make them as even as possible. I'll just wrap that all the way up into the thorax area there, where I'll take my thread. And we're just going to go and secure this down with a couple wraps over the top and then a couple wraps in front. Now we can helicopter this out. I like to helicopter to get this, it'll cut off nice and smooth right at the point, and I'd save my scissors from having to cut the wire. We'll do the same with the copper here. Now I'm going to invert my hook because this is a jig hook. Now I'm going to take the 1/32 inch holographic tinsel in copper from Semperfli. I'm going to take that tag end, and you'll see it's there, loose wraps, not too tight, and I'm just going to start pulling that as I'm wrapping backwards. And I want to pull that all the way to where that tinsel disappears. Once it disappears, I'm going to use that thread. I want to secure this tinsel on the top back to where I started my wire body. I'm going to set that off to the back here in my bobbin, or in my material clip. Now I'm going to take a 1/16 inch Mirage Iris tinsel. Both of these are from Semperfli. I'm going to remove my thread all the way to the front again. And I'm just going to again start securing that down and gently pull that. And I want to make sure and do this so that again I can center this tinsel on top. Once I've done that, I'll secure it down. I'm going to take some black pine squirrel dubbing. And I'm just going to put a small amount of dubbing on here. I don't want very much, I just want a small amount. This is going to build up the back side of my thorax and help with my legs just a little bit, flare them out. So we'll wrap that, and then I'm going to take a small strand of the SiliLegs again, the Grizzly Flutter, measure that off to the back just past the bend of the hook. Secure it off, and then I'm going to take the other half and measure the same, hold it and pin it in place. And I forgot to lock it in, so I locked it in there. We'll secure it in and lock it in place in front again. And at this point you can always adjust and maneuver your rubber legs to situate where you need to. I'm going to take some more black pine squirrel dubbing. I don't want too much, but I want enough that I can kind of help fill in this thorax here and help keep my legs somewhat separated. Pull them back and go in front just a little bit with a couple wraps. That's going to kind of help push my legs instead of all the way forward, just kind of out to the side. Now I'm just going to take and trim my legs out just a little bit so that they're a little easier to maneuver with. We'll take the 1/16 inch, and you want to make sure you don't catch your leg there, so we'll just make sure we split that up. I'll hold it off to the front and then take my thread. Before I cinch it down, I can, if it's loose, I can maneuver it around wherever I need to. Over the top twice, in front twice. Take my razor blade and I'll just trim that out so I get a nice good close trim. Now we'll take our copper tinsel and do the same thing so that we can center this up, and this is just going to create a little bit of a split wing flashback on this. Over the top twice, in front twice, razor blade, trim that out. And again, that gets a nice clean snip there, a lot cleaner than your scissors will. Now I'm just going to take my whip finish tool and do a 3-turn whip, and then we'll trim that thread out. Once that thread's trimmed out, we'll take some SiliLegs thin hard UV resin, and we're going to put that over the top of the wing case. And then we'll take our UV pin and cure that up for anywhere between 5 to 10 seconds, and that'll cure up this UV resin. Now we just got to trim out our legs so that our fronts are even with our backs. And the backs are pre-measured already, so I really just need to even up the front. And there you have the black copper John rubber legs Flashback Nymph. Thank you for watching.